All right. We're going to talk about the last several really short stories in the Rise of the Sith omnibus. They're all from one comic book series called Star Wars Tales. You've heard me complain about Star Wars Tales in the past, especially on the Legends podcast, because Star Wars Tales, it doesn't kind of suck. It really sucks. It's so frustrating because Star Wars made three three really good short story collections for the original trilogy, and then with Dark Horse they decided we're going to have a comic that just has random short stories from different authors in different time periods, and it's just terrible. Part of the problem is that a lot of these don't feel like they're in continuity with anything. In fact, some of them aren't. And they never really clarified what was Infinities and what was C canon. So you just end up with a hodgepodge of nonsense, and a lot of these are nonsense. And here's the big thing: Tails sucks. Like that, it's just the big thing. It's bad. Um, it's not well thought out, and they just let anyone and their mother write Tails comics, and they're just bad. But we're gonna start with how they have. Okay, a better way of putting this is when they did the Rise of the Sith Epic collections, they intermixed these tale stories between like main comic book stories. So no one liked that, and I think it really affected the sales of Rise of the Sith. So instead of doing that, they threw them all at the end of the book because, quite frankly, it doesn't matter if you want to read these in between because they pretty much don't affect anything. So we'll start with Tales issue 13, which was a rare one because they pretty much all the tales had to do with Mace Windu, and it was a tie-in for Attack of the Clones. So the stories are, we'll start with Stones, which is Mace Windu reflecting on how he got his purple lightsaber crystal, which I never considered this canon because for a long time Mace Windu carried a blue lightsaber. It wasn't until Samuel L. Jackson asked George Lucas if he could have a purple one that there was suddenly the rush of, oh, Mace Windu needs to have a purple lightsaber. So I don't know the accuracy of this story or not. I wouldn't consider it canon, but Marvel does. Next is Survivors, which is Mace Windu going to bring this crime lord to justice. It's fine. There's not a lot to it. Next is Children of the Force, which is Mace Windu's trying to stop this albino Zeltron assassin from kidnapping a youngling. This Zeltron assassin is the same one from Clone Wars Adventures who's trying to get a clone of herself in that story. So I don't know why they brought that character was brought back for Clone Wars Adventures. This clearly came first. It's weird, and she doesn't really look like a Zeltron in this. It's just strange. Next, we have The Secret of Tet Ami, and in this, Mace Windu is sent to like a temple because like a time paradox. It's bizarre. I wouldn't consider this canon either, but they do. I don't know why. Moving on, we'll move back to Star Wars Tales issue 5, which is Yaddle's Tale, the one below. And this is Yaddle's origin story, and really when people defend Tales, they almost always bring up this one because this one is written slightly better. Yaddle's master is murdered by like a dictator of this planet, and Yaddle's thrown into this pit where she just lives for like many years until she escapes, and then it's the framing device is the other Jedi Council members want to make her a member of the Jedi Council without her ever being knighted. and Yoda is the one who's not on board with this, so they're all convincing Yoda. Um, Next is Tales 14, which the story called Mythology, which is just Qui-Gon teaching Obi-Wan about attachment with an anecdote about two Jedi Knights that were brothers that fell in love with the same woman or something like that. It's stupid. It's horrible. Don't read it. Skip this one. The next one is from the first issue of Tales, and it's another Qui-Gon Obi-Wan story called Life, Death, and the Living Force. And this is really just a knockoff Jedi Apprentice mission that just sucks. It doesn't suck as much as Mythology, but there's nothing to it. Next, we go to Tales issue 10, which is called Nameless. And in it, this is one of two Darth Maul going up against someone to test himself for Sidious. Because in Tales 24 Marked, it's the same deal, but with slightly better art. Although this one, we do get a little origin of Maul, which is kind of... It does... If you squint, it fits with what we learned from Darth Plagueis, but I don't know. I don't like it. It's weird. This is also where we find out how Maul got his Sith tattoos, which is unnecessary, but it's fine. Both Nameless and Marked are fine. Next, we got two stories from Tales issue 3. The first one is Deal with a Demon, which is Villy the Devorian is hired to escort this princess off of her homeworld. It's fine. Villy's in character. This was written a little after Jedi Council Acts of War. He feels more like Villy in this than he did in that. So that's neat. The other story from this issue is The Death of Captain Tarpals. This is just a story explaining that Captain Tarpals can't defend Jar Jar anymore when Jar Jar gets into his antics. That's really it. It's okay. Now, we got one more of these that they consider canon, which is Tales number 5, A Summer's Dream. And this is about the boy that Padme is talking about in Attack of the Clones that she kind of had a romance with. His parents are backing King Varuna during the election to get Padme into office, but he falls in love with Padme and it just doesn't go well. Honestly, I didn't mind this story. A lot of people don't like it. I don't blame them, but in the grand scheme of how horrible most of these stories have been, this is one of the better ones. Now we move on to what Marvel editorial refers to as humor tales. These are for sure not canon at all, and they're really stupid. So we'll start with Tales number 7 with Jedi Chef or Pizza Hut. Which is Plo Koon and I think his name's Mika or Mikan. He's one of the Jedi from Jedi Council Acts of War. He and Plo Koon are friends. This is just establishing them being friends. They're trying to win this chef's freedom from a hut in an Iron Chef ripoff. It's bizarre. But Plo Koon's sabotaging everyone else's food. It sucks. It sucks. So next we move on to Tales issue 9, which is Hate Leads to Lollipops, which is a stupid, ugly ass tale of Darth Maul reaping havoc in Coruscant and Palpatine finding him, and it's he needs more guidance. He doesn't need to go to the orphanage. I don't know. It's stupid. It's not canon. Horrible. Next, the infamous Tony Millionaire story, George R. Binks, from Tales issue 20. This is the story about Jar Jar's father being a Moby Dick whaler for some reason, and it's awful. It's just as awful as Matt Wilkins said it was in Matt's Expanded Universe. It's not considered canon by Marvel. I won't consider it either. Next, we move on to Tales issue 14, which is called Urchins. The story's called Urchins, and it's about Anakin finding a lightsaber with some riffraff and accidentally sabotaging Sebulba's pod racer with it. That's it. Also stupid. But we get to the real shit-dripping trophy of all of them, with Tales Issue 7, with a story called Force Fiction. Many of you know that I hate this story. I've talked about it many times. It is a horrible, horrible reenactment of the diner scene from the end of Pulp Fiction. But instead of Jules, it's Mace Windu. Instead of Vincent, it's Yoda. So neither of them are acting in character, and they're trying to decide whether to train Anakin or not. And then the diner that they're eating at gets held hostage by two thugs, and they basically reenact the end of Pulp Fiction. That's it. Although there is a cameo from Buzz Lightyear, the Beatles, the robot from Forbidden Planet. There's a lot of like nods to other science fiction, like other like pop culture properties, and it's all fucking stupid. This is one of the worst Star Wars stories ever written, and I stand by that. It is so pants-shittingly stupid. It hurts my mind. It's like the equivalent of watching NPC TikToks. Like, I hate this story. I truly hate it. And it is the perfect way to sum up Rise of the Sith. Rise of the Sith is front-loaded and back-loaded with fucking garbage. It's so frustrating because there's like a reason that they haven't done Menace Revealed or Clone Wars. And it's because this, and I knew when they started doing these that this one was going to be mostly bad. Because most of the stuff is bad. The middle of it is worth reading with like your Jedi Council Acts of War, Prelude to Rebellion, Vow of Justice, and the Darth Maul mini from 2000. Those are all worth your time. And if you even wanted to dig more into the weeds, the Phantom Menace comic book adaptation's okay. But from things like Jedi, The Dark Side, to Orient Express, Last Stand on Ord Mantell, Episode 1 Adventures, these tale stories, it's just rubbish. What would I rank these tale stories? 0 out of 5. They're not worth your time to read. I really mean that. These are for hardcore completionists to read, no one else. And even then, I don't think they'll be satisfied reading it. It is a waste of your fucking time. And I try not to drop like the F-bomb too much in reviews, but this pisses me off. I hated this. I hated having to skim through these. I just hate them. This is why putting breaking up the Tales comics and trying to put them in chronological order or where they'll fit best in what omnibus is just a terrible effort. So you end up with this stuff. And it's a good chunk of Tales we just dealt with all at once. A good chunk of it. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this is the end of this omnibus. Would I recommend picking this omnibus up? If you love the prequels, or you're a completionist, or you don't care, you care more about the good stuff in this than the bad, pick this one up. But it's just a real shame they released this first. And I get they wanted to go chronologically through the prequel era, but honestly, doing Menace Revealed first would have been a better idea because there's more gems in that than doing Rise of the Sith. Or if they wanted to even skip the Clone Wars, that's an even better deal, because most of that comic book wise is good. So anyway, I'm glad I went through this. I'm glad I'm finally done with this omnibus. It's a weight off my flippin' shoulders. So, anyway, have a nice day.